Skittle-do, I said bim bop. Skittle-do, I said bim. Skittle-do, I said skid out and bop. Skittle-do, I said bim bop boom. Skittle-do, I said bim bop. Skittle-do, I said bim. Skittle-do, I said skid out and bop. Skittle-do, I said bim bop boom.
It's important before we dive into any particular section of the book of Revelation that we understand the structure of the book. And so we're going to try to get the big picture of the book of Revelation, and then only after doing so, we'll dive in. And it's important as we're talking about the structure of the book to understand that as you read through the book of Revelation, what you'll discover is that there are 7 parallel sections. And each of these 7 parallel sections describe the time period between the first and the second coming of Christ. So here's how the structure works in these 7 parallel sections. The first section is chapters 1 through 3, which describe Christ in the midst of the churches, which are described as 7 golden lampstands. And there are a letter of Christ being aware of all the events and circumstances, both the troubles and pains as well as the triumphs of these churches. Christ is in the midst of what these churches are going through. The second section deals with the book with the 7 seals. And so there's this scroll with 7 seals, and in this section, each of the 7 seals is broken and history moves forward. The next section is a section of 7 trumpets of judgment. So the 7 seals give rise to another section, the third section being the 7 trumpets of judgment or warning. In the fourth section, chapters 12 through 14, there is this section about the persecuting dragon, who is Satan, along with his 2 helpers. In the fifth section, you have the 7 bowls of wrath, and that's chapters 15 and 16. Then in chapter 6, in the sixth section, in chapters 17 through 19, you have a description of the fall of Babylon. And then finally, a 7th section, chapters 20 through 22. And what would be good is that you pick up the book of Revelation and you think about the structure and you read through and see how chapters 1 through 3, chapters 4 through 7, chapters 8 through 11, and then 12 through 14, and 15 and 16, and 17 through 19, and then 20 through 22, how they all seem to stand in parallel to each other. And there are a lot of indicators. I'll share just a few. First, if you look at the time sections that are evident in the third and fourth section, you'll see that the same time indicators of 3.5 years, or 1,260 days, or 42 months, or a time times and a half a time, they are in parallel with each other, the time frame. If you look, for example, at the 7 trumpets and the 7 bowls, you'll see that each of them are in parallel with each other. The first trumpet and the first bowl affect the earth. The second trumpet and the second bowl affect the sea. The third trumpet and the third bowl affect the natural rivers and unsalty waters. The fourth affect the sun. The fifth affect the pit of the abyss, and so on. You'll see that they stand in parallel to each other. Often, also third, as you read through and you see each of these sections, you will find in each one of the sections clear references to either the first or the second or both comings of Christ. And so you'll see that they all describe the time period between the first and second coming of Christ, and they stand in parallel. That's the first thing, 7 parallel sections. The next thing that's important to know is that the book of Revelation has 2 major divisions. The first major division is chapters 1 through 11, and then the second major division is 12 through 22. And here's what you see in the first 11 chapters. You really see the struggle on earth between believers and non-believers. Whereas in the second major division of the book, starting in chapter 12, it's like you get a peek behind the curtain to see the spiritual struggle that's going on behind all the events that we see just with our own eyes in this life. The last thing I want to mention as you think about the structure of the book of Revelation, here's what you'll find, that in each of these sections, as you move from one section to the next, there is a progressive emphasis on the final judgment. And so in the opening sections, like the first 3 sections, you'll see that the final judgment's announced toward the end of every section. But in the second half of the book, so for example in chapter 14, or for example in chapter 19, you'll see that not only do you have an announcement of the final judgment, but a really vivid description of that final judgment. At any rate, that is the structure of the book. There are 7 parallel sections, there are 2 major divisions, and you'll see a progressive emphasis on the final judgment as you go through these 7 sections and as you move from the first major division to the second.
Hey everybody, thanks for taking time to watch this video. Hope you enjoy it. If so, make sure to like, comment, share this on your social media feeds. We want to encourage you to come out on Sunday morning to Sunlight Community Church. Our service times are 9 and 11. And if you'd like to learn more about the book of Revelation and you enjoyed this video, I encourage you to go to our YouTube channel and you can watch these episodes from the beginning and see the entire series. Thanks so much.